here quickly to see what is our channel like. Okay, change of glasses. I can see what I'm doing. Okay. So I think today is going to be quite an exciting one because we got a couple of things that I'm going to go through by opening a user library in GX Works3. I thought I'm going to have enough time to demonstrate the GX Works2 library as well, but it seems like I'm going to get stuck with that one. There's a bit more to do on GX Works2. Let me just beef up the sound there a little bit. Thanks for the feedback, John. Does that sound better? Okay, great. So, like I said, I'm going to demonstrate how I'm going to open a user library, but obviously I first need a library, and that also will add a little bit more detail in there. Wait. I need to stop my feedback first. Otherwise we're having a feedback loop here. Okay. I believe that's going to be much better. Yeah. So we're going to open a user library. Like I said, we're first going to create a user library just to get an idea of what it is like. So I'm going to expand on another video a lot more on user libraries, including your function blocks, your structural data, your global variables in your user library that you can obviously repetitively use on other projects, so especially when you have unique systems that you've designed, and then you can just basically repeat your library in your next project instead of reusing all that code again or redeveloping all that code again. You can just reuse what you've already done in the past. So it takes a little bit of thinking. You've got to think through what you're going to do when you develop your project. Naming conventions is very important. Try to make it as generic as possible where you can. In certain cases you have to develop maybe a library for some specific piece of equipment. Okay, so let me see. Again, this is a series of videos to assist you when you work with GX Works3. Most of the time we're not always familiar with the tools, and or we're either afraid to maybe just push a button or something. So I know that some of the detail here will be very basic for some of us, but there might be just something interesting in the works that you might learn from. Okay, so let's then have a look at how to import GX Works3 user library. Let's see what our stream looks like. Data looks good. Just a little bit of information for people looking at the streams. And if you're constrained with data cost, you can reduce your resolution for a much faster throughput in the first place, and also saving a bit on data on the end of the day. You can review the video later on a higher resolution by just selecting in YouTube settings, what resolution you would like to see the video in next time. Okay, so it's not like you're limited right now. I will zoom into all the small text so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing with the design. Okay, let's start. I think I just need to resize my screen a little bit. I think that's it. Okay, in GX Works3. Like in the first video, we've talked about all the menu items. Specifically, now we're going to look at a GX Works3 format, opening a user library. Like I said earlier, we're going to look into opening a user library from GX Works2 as well, but it takes a little bit more effort, things that you need to be aware of. But it works quite seamlessly. I'll do a dedicated video for that. The idea behind the videos is to keep them dedicated per item so that you don't have to sit through a whole video just to watch a tiny little thing, which again is a cost saving aspect for you concerning data. So I'll keep the videos short as possible, but today's one I think will be a little bit longer than usual. So bear with me as we go through the setup. Okay, so when you select I think I just need to get my, just give me a moment, I just need to switch over to find one of my tools that I need. I didn't start my one application very quickly. There we go. And we're in. So GX Works3 file format. Opening a user library. So when we select open user library, GX Works is going to expect to find, or you need to point GX Works towards the library file that you would like to import. So it's going to be a .usl file. Okay, so user structured library. So, but now, where do we get this? Somebody might have designed a library and you need to make use of that library now. So I have a couple here, but I'm not going to show you now. I'm going to make a library and then show you where it actually comes from. So in projects, we need to clearly start a project for a specific PLC. I'm going to use the FX5 again today. Waiting for GX Works to open the project, and once the project is open, then I can I'm just going to quickly run through a couple of examples on designing a structure, put it into a global, assign some variables to it. I'm not going to go into too extreme depth about this because there's going to be a more detailed video around libraries themselves, on how to create them structurally correct and how to export them and import them into your other projects. Okay, so I'm just going to start straightforward. I'm going to show you now how it looks like. Okay, come on, where are you going now? Guys, you must feel free if you got any question at any given time. I'll keep my eye on the comments as I'm going along. So I'm going to first create a structure, and then I'm going to make use of the structure in a global, and then I'm going to assign variables to that structure. And then once I'm done with that, that basically becomes my library for this design. And then I can go and export that library and can, quite frankly, reuse it in another project. Okay, so let me show you how that's done. I just add new data to my library. So adding new data is going to give me a dialog box, and I need to give it a name. Okay, so in there I need to specify a name for my structure. So again, come down to naming conventions. Think about what you're going to do, design your project properly, and give it some nice names. Like I'm just going to give it a demonstration name here for now. Data, or let's call it st data, or st underscore data. And then in that st data I can now assign label names. So as many label names that I need for that, up to a certain limit obviously. I don't know what's the limit. I was actually going to see 5,120. I think that's configurable as well. So in my label name I'm going to give it a name called data st, and my data type for this label, for instance, will be bit, and give it a description, data st, and that's enough for that one. I mean, I can carry on like many different label names here. I'll just do 3 just to show you some special function that we have in GX Works. I'm just going to call that 01, 02, just for the fun of it. Come up with very good names, and also remember to give proper descriptions to whatever you create in your project. To remember, it's doing this now because I've clicked sort over here, so I just want to show you there. I by accident now just clicked on the sort columns. That's why it's looking funny every time I type here now. So there we go. So it should have been sorted by the first one or by the index. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. So now we have a bit of a structure there named st for some reason. Okay. Oh, somebody's talking to me. Let me just catch up. Oh, okay. No, somebody's just sending pictures, but that can wait. Next thing is I'm going to create another data structure called something like MC underscore data, and let's use a word or some other data type in there, and I'll call this one just the other way, is opposite than the other one. We call this data MC. To be funny, we just call it 01 as well. And I'm just giving it a name, and let's say we're using a word, unsigned word, and this one will be number 2. Another unsigned word. Hey, come on. And that one will also be number 2 as its description. I'll just add a third one in for the fun of it, just so that we can see the effect. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just going to take this out for a moment. Silence. My bad. Okay, so any questions in the meantime? So now that we got these two structures here, I can combine these two structures into a single structure for the fun of it. Let's call it date set. Now in my data set I can call some data underscore st and give it a specific data format, which will be st data or st date, whatever you want to call it. I just call it st data. And again, give it a proper description. This is st data, should be data, but we can fix that spelling mistake just now. I'll show you what's going to happen. And the next one we can also call data MC. And I'm gonna bring the MC data in there, and this is MC data. So now that we got our structure set up, we got our variables for our bits and our words. And I also realized that I made a typo. There's my st date, which one needs to be data. And let's go and have a look back at where we've created it. Spelling mistake fixed. Okay, so wherever the source is, whenever you change the name, it will be reflected throughout your whole project. Sorry, I want to zoom in there. So I fixed that spelling mistake, and it will be reflected throughout the project. Okay, so wherever that name has been used, it will be corrected based on the source. Okay, so now let's go and create a global. So I've got some funny data sets here. Let's call it a new data set, and I would like to bring in some data structure called a data set, and I can give it a nice name, my new data set. Now take note that I can also assign variables now, but now if you click on the assign device to a label, you'll get this error. The data type which cannot be assigned to the device is specified. So please assign a device in extended display when the structured data type is defined by a structured data type. So some of you guys might know exactly where to find that detail. It's a little bit abstract when you read the sentence, not easy to understand what's written there, but once you start working with GX Works3 a bit more, that will be coming quite clear for you. And it's actually very easy and simple. It shows me there that I can't assign any device to these labels, because these labels got got a substructure to it. So what I need to do is I need to go and look at this button right next to my show detail button. Okay, so that's either easy display or show detail, and right next to that one you'll find a button called display settings. Okay, for this window. Guys, really made it convenient for us. So these are the different things that you would like to see in this window, and the one that is disabled by default is do not show always is our display area or extended display settings. Okay, so I need to either make it automatic or always show it. So if you say automatic, then GX Works will highlight or bring up the conversation for you, the data structure for you when there is a substructure behind it. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it in automatic settings for now, and let's have a look. There we go. So if I had another another structure over here called anything A, B, C, and maybe this is just a signed word or something, and as a global variable you can immediately assign a device to this. Okay, D400 for instance, no problem. But that one over there, when I click on this data type, my custom data type in my data structure, or derived from my data structure that I've just created, then GX Works will open the extended display for us. Okay, so when I click on it, it's going to ask me if I would like to go and change that data set for me. Oh, why can't I see this now? There we go. Okay, so I need to click on that, and then GX Works will highlight that for us. So when I click on my data that I've on the data that I've created, or the devices or the labels that I've created in my structure, then I can get access to assign device names to those labels. Okay, so now when I look at this, GXWorks asks me to assign a device now. So let's say I'm gonna assign M0, or let's say M10 to this device, and then that's that. So what if I've got about 500 devices here that I need to go and assign, and I need to assign them sequentially? Well, just make use of the autofill. Come in, do your very first one, M10, and GXWorks will do the rest for you. Okay. So quite frankly, if you use data structures, you barely have to worry ever again about device names. So just make sure that you design your project correctly, but that will go into a lot more detail when I go deeper into the GX Works3 design environment. Again, there I can go and assign D10 for instance, and the work will be done automatically for me. So I don't need to sit and type every single device name in as I go along. Okay, so all the device names will be populated automatically. That's that. So now I've got a library of some sort, and I would like to give this now to someone else so that they can go and reuse that in their project. Like I said, I'm going to add function blocks making use of the libraries as well later on, and explain that in a little bit more detail on how our functions and function blocks together with our structured data and global labels will work together in a library. So all I need to do now is go to projects, and under projects I'll find a menu item called label operation, library operation, excuse me. That'll be library operation. So when I click on library operation, I get a couple of new opportunities to either export libraries or register to library list, delete from library, or update the display information of my library, or just update my library in my program. And there's help. The detail is written everywhere in the e-manual. Go and have a look at it. They do elaborate a lot more in extensive detail in the e-manual viewer. So I recommend strongly to go and read up on how to use libraries. Okay. So now I'm going to export my library that I just created. Take note that I did not save anything, and I also did not convert anything yet. So up until this point where I've created the library, GXWorks will export it exactly in this condition. So good idea to just go and convert your project, check that you didn't create any errors. But up until this point, GXWorks would have already informed you if you made any mistakes or errors along the way. So let's export the library. You'll get a dialog box to explain to you what GXWorks is going to do now. everything in GX Works will be exported now as a library. So your program block, your function block, your global labels, function blocks and functions, global labels and structured data types will be then exported as a library, and then you can use this library in your next projects, or you can send this library to your colleagues to be able to use in a project somehow. You are obviously in control of the content of the library as well, to either safeguard it, or you don't want someone to go and copy it, maybe intellectual property that you created. Okay, so that is libraries. Let's export this library now. So look under detailed settings. This is where we're going to go into security layers. Again, like I said to you in the first video, I'm going to go into GX Works security extensively. That's going to be a very long video, and I recommend that you do pay attention when we're going to go through that video, because if you lose your password or your key file, you will not be able to use any of that data again, and Mitsubishi cannot help you with that. Okay. Because that data is completely encrypted. Okay, that's your intellectual property, so take care of it. Make sure that you keep your stuff safe. Okay. So currently I've left everything public. I'm not going to lock up anything right now. Like, I'll demonstrate that in another video later. Okay, so set a password for the library, blah blah blah. I just want to show you there. Okay, that's where you're going to set up the password for your library. Okay. So at this point I'm just going to export the library. Open native. So I'm just going to call this demo data user library. Let's call it USL. Okay. Great, so that is now exported as a library. I can now close this project. So there's GX Works now closed. Ooh, there's plenty of people writing doing it to assign. I mean, it's your choice, Nicola. Sorry, I only saw your question now. It is your choice when you would like to assign your device names. You can either leave it blank and leave it up for the next person to go and assign device names. But let's import this now and let's see what the result will be. So I'm going to create a blank project and then import that library and see if the device names that I've assigned, the devices that I've assigned to those labels, if they did retain in the library, or I might need to go and reassign my devices again. Okay, so I'm going to make a new project, FX5. So it will be a FX5 CPU and function block diagram and ladder. So I can wait for GX Works to start this project. The good thing about Windows 10 and the new memory management in Windows 10 is once you've opened a application, Windows tend to remember how much memory you might use in that application. So when you got it open, like now I've just closed the project and now I'm reopening a new project, then it happens extremely fast, so it's almost instantaneously. Okay, so That's my new project created, and I'm going to import that library that I just exported now. Okay, so how we do that is open other data format. And that's the initial title of this video. So we're going to open GX Works3 format, open a user library. So when I click the user library, GX Works is going to expect to see a USL file. So the file that I've just created now is this one. Oops, my spelling is a bit dodgy there. Let's try that. Okay, so my demo struct. Yo, my spelling is bad. Oh, let's try that. That doesn't matter. Okay, so now we've got our USL file. That is our library, which we can port, either email to someone else. You can then go and open this into your project. So if you've got an existing project, you can add this to that project. Okay. So for instance, you got a modular system, for instance, lots of small sections. For instance, let's say one guy in your team design your PLC code for the motors along a conveyor belt, and the next guy designed the safety system around the conveyor belt. The next guy designed maybe some additional features along the conveyor belt. And then each one of those little projects can become a library, and then you send these little libraries off to the main developers that put down design a project for your complete system, for a quarry or a mine, and then the main developers then just take these little libraries from all over what your colleagues has then designed or external vendors has designed for you, and you merely just bring that user library into your big project then. Okay, so I'm adding this user library into this project now. So it asks me to if I would like to save this project. So I don't want to save this project, I just want to open that library, because that is what we're going to do now. We open the library because we haven't registered this library yet. Right, so there's our structure, there's our global labels. Let's go and have a look at our global labels, and there's my data, my devices already pre-assigned. You don't have to do it immediately, Nicola. You can always do that on a much later stage. Okay, so that covers that for opening a library. So the next one that I will do when it comes to libraries, I first want to finish the rest of the menu items, because it becomes a bit more interesting as we're moving along the tree here, like the PX developer. No, that's perfectly fine, Nicola. You don't have to worry about your devices. You can either create it before or you can create it afterwards. There's absolutely no problem there. The only thing that you got to be aware of is the architecture that you design. Don't make yourself work unnecessary. Use your devices, assign devices sequentially. Because literally you don't have to worry about your device name anymore. That becomes a transparent aspect for you on the long run. Let's just have a look there at Nicola's question. I don't know if everyone can see that. Okay, so what happens there is Nicola asked there, I would like to create a project and not worry about this, since with big projects you can easily overlap devices everywhere. And that is very true. So therefore you don't have to worry about device names when you work with structures like this. Um, you can go and assign them afterwards, or even if you run into overlaps, then you just reassign a new mapping to the extra library that you've added to your system. I hope I've answered that question for you, Nicola. I see you ask a question there about HMIs and labels as well. Yes, I'm going to dig into that. I absolutely like working with GX Works3 because it makes my life so much easier when I work with the HMI and the PLC. I literally don't have to worry about devices ever in my project when I design with proper data structures and my HMI. So I create my HMI once, and if I want to change my mind tomorrow regarding device names, I just go and change them, and my HMI just follows suit. I don't have to change a thing in my HMI again. Okay, I hope I've given you a good answer there, Nicola. Okay, so like I've said, is I just want to finish these menu items for us. So the next one that's going to come up is going to be the PX developer format. I would like to go into the GX Works2 format, but I just need to go through the documentation and to give you a proper answer on that when I do the GX Works2 format. So PX developer, and that will be the code that we write for our VFDs, the PLCs in the A and the F series PLCs. Okay. VFDs, the variable frequency drives. So if you would like to move your PX code to a to GX Works3, for instance. For instance, if your project has grown and you've acquired a new PLC or a bigger PLC. And then the last one, second last one will be GX developer format, just to bring in the GX developer data. And then the nice one, that will be a bit of a long video. I'm going to go a bit more in detail on the XML format. It's really handy when you start manipulating big data in GX Works3. Okay. Hope you guys have enjoyed this one for today. If there's any more questions that you got for me, you're welcome. You're also welcome to put more comments down once we're done with the video. I will go and read up on them as we work through our comments on our YouTube channel. Please feel free to go and visit our website. Go and have a look at our website. You'll find a lot more information about many aspects in the knowledge base regarding Mitsubishi products, and the same counts for Android. Okay, so if you've got any questions, or if you're looking for a quick solution or something that someone else has struggled with before, you're most welcome to go and have a look at our knowledge base. And again, you can download all the files that we have for our various products, including drivers. Okay. Most welcome to go and visit our website, go around it and see what you can find that's going to fix your solution for you. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I don't see any more comments coming through. Any more questions, please feel free to post them in the YouTube channel. I will have a look at them. You can always email me. You'll find my contact details in the link below. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe, click the bell icon. You'll get notified whenever the next video webinar comes live. Again, thanks for your support. Stay safe, and hopefully this long homestay time will be over and we'll move on with our lives. Much appreciated, and stay safe.